Welcome to The Grant, the EU funding podcast. The Grant. My name is Niels Winter, and I'm the creator, editor, and host of The Grant. The Grant is an independent podcast initiative with the ambition to dig into all corners of the EU R&D funding system and topics of interest for the full EU R&D funding community. Coordinating a funded EU project is quite a task to pick up. Everybody who has done knows the truth of that statement. The complexity and the many layers of the responsibilities are exhaustive. And on top of that, you also need to have an impressive stamina as a people person dealing with the positive and challenging elements of human interactions. Conflicts, that is. In other words, it is time for another episode in the implementation series and to have a look at the coordinator role. For that, I have invited the experienced Andrea Motola, consultant at Enspire Science, into the virtual podcast studio to share with us approaches, views, reflections, tips and tricks to handle the coordination of a funded project. This episode is for both new to-be coordinators and experienced coordinators. Remember that I have added time codes to my episodes so you can move back and forth in the recording for the elements that have specific interest for you, which is specifically good for an episode like this. Please enjoy. The Grant. Welcome to The Grant, the EU funding podcast. Today we are going to have another episode in the implementation series that I started to produce. This is a continuation of the timeline series, which is a series on proposal preparation. Here in this series, it's sort of the same discourse. I will be breaking down the process of or elements of project implementation into bits and pieces and cover them. So each of you that sits out there, you can always go in and pull an episode out and say, okay, I need to know a little bit about how to make a grant agreement, or I need to know something about how to be a project coordinator, which we're going to talk about today. Now, I do excuse the sound outside this in the background here. I'm sitting in my apartment in Spain, and there's some traffic noise outside now. And I have a guest, like I normally have these days. Andrea, welcome.
Thanks.
And it's not the first time you're here. I made a commercial collaboration, The Grant and Inspire Science, that you work for, and we recorded 3 episodes that by this time probably is. If it's not available, it will soon be. And there we actually talked about the coordination, whether to be a coordinator or not, coordination dilemma. And so there we zoomed in both on the proposal process and the project implementation process. But here in this episode, we're just going to talk about project implementation and the coordinator's role. And of course, I invited you for this naturally from that. Happy to have you back. Andrea, can you shortly say a few words about yourself and your capacities on EU R&D proposal?
Sure. So, hello everyone. My name is Andrea Radkoshova. I'm part of Inspire's collaboration team. We are based in Tel Aviv. And what is my role in EU R&D? I'm primarily focusing on the Horizon Europe grants and focusing more specifically on the collaborative projects. I'm currently coordinating 4 collaborative projects under Horizon Europe. But except that, I'm also a consultant. I'm also a trainer on Horizon Europe. So pretty much covering every angle of either proposal initiation or coordination at a later stage. Excited to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have years of experience. It's very nice. A few words on Inspire Science?
Sure. So Inspire Science is a small consulting and training company based in Tel Aviv, in Israel. We are focusing on Horizon Europe as such. Our strength length is the ERC part of Horizon Europe, but we pretty much cover the entire spectrum of Horizon, either through Pillar 2 collaborative projects, but also EIC, widening actions. So pretty much the whole basket, as I said before.
Yeah, you do. But yeah, you indeed, Yoram has built this company around his strong connection to the research community, right? So especially, yes, in that part, making different courses also and trainings and so on throughout Europe. And he has a nice team covering also for him. So that's which you're part of. So we're going to talk about the coordination role today. Part of it, it's going to be the authoritative, the grant episode on the coordination role when you implement a project. Short fly-in on project coordination. So if you should put a few words on what it is, what it entails, can you?
Yeah. So project coordination is really, I would say, your status in the project as being a person with a general overlook on how is project being implemented, how it's being running. It is to really have a proactive role in all the work done under the project that has been selected for funded. Kudos to that. And it is somehow a role of motivator, a role of mediator in really, I would say, progressing throughout the project and leading it towards a successful end and towards the successful results that the project should bring. So yeah, short line.
We're going to dig a lot more into this, but there is an element of being in the middle of everything, right?
Exactly.
And both in content and human psychology, and so there are many aspects here when you take on this role. Now, just to sort of put a perspective on the role as a project coordinator during project implementation versus what has just happened some months before. If that same person was coordinating the proposal preparation, often it's the same person, sometimes it's not, but sometimes it is. So can we just have a short talk about what is the difference? And can you maybe give your own take on that?
Sure. So when we are at that proposal preparation stage, you are of course gathering all the consortium, overseeing the work of how is the proposal being written, either from that part of the professional project coordinator, or also taking up on the role of the scientific leader of the proposal that is being submitted. And of course, your end goal is the submission date of the proposal. You know, your all your work done is focused on really that couple of months when you are preparing the project. And of course, there are many challenges that are linked also with the project preparation. But I believe that would be from a different episode. You are also acting as a mediator, what I was saying, and motivator at the proposal preparation stage. But there is this cut line of when you get that email that your project has been selected for funding, and suddenly your mind, I would even say on that same day, should shift and will look for really horizon above for the upcoming 3 to 6 years even. And you are becoming on one side an administrative coordinator, but as you said before, on the other side, and the liaison with the commission, for example, but on the other side, you are really becoming someone that should have eyes on every detail, every aspect of the project, that someone that partners know that they are coming to you, whether there is a smaller challenge, that can be resolved through one email, but they know that you are their coordinator and they come to you, or you have some bigger challenges on the table that we for sure will correct in the next phases of the discussion.
Yeah, there's a, as I put here in the rundown, there's a in the square root here in the proposal process, you are the coordinator of submitting a document.
Exactly.
I know it's simplified, right? But that's what it is. You're supposed to coordinate gathering of information and coordinate the process around gathering information, putting it together, and submitting it to a funding administrator. And that has a lot of similarities. There's many sort of the psychology around collaboration and facilitating that. Of course, there are many similarities on when it actually is being rolled out, but still, it's still just gathering for a document. It's preparing text. This is not real things happening in the real world. It's not putting up a demonstration pilot plant in a manufacturing industry, actual putting it up. It's gathering text and describing things and making a budget and making it likely that you can do this in real life. So it's not fundamentally different, but there is a it's moving from from virtual into
Yeah.
into reality, right?
Yeah. It is also a stage where you can, as a coordinator or any other partner, can fill in the missing piece of puzzle, the missing piece of information. You can still like paste some parts of the application, or like, okay, this methodology, I can trim it, but what will happen in the implementation phase? You won't suddenly fill in the demonstration, as you were saying. You won't suddenly conduct the testing because the partner is neglecting the project. So at that,
Yeah.
exactly at the proposal preparation phase, you can still walk around it. You can still figure it. You can really facilitate, and that there are no missing elements in the proposal, and your proposal is written in a perfect way, with a high score. But exactly, everything like gets a different structure when you start to implement the project, which is, I believe, very obvious. But maybe for someone who is starting to coordinate the first project, it's not that obvious yet. So maybe someone like that is listening to this podcast. It's important to say that your role will really change fundamentally.
It's also in the proposal phase, it's a matter of shaping a message towards evaluators, an
Exactly.
unknown set of people who will be the gatekeepers, like, of reaching that. So there's a lot of focus on how to strengthen a text or make a natural flow of what you're writing, or the models that you prepare, or graphical, and so on. So this is again, it's preparing a document to convince somebody that this is something, and then move into actual action. In real life.
Yeah, sometimes I'm when I'm discussing with some of our clients, I'm telling them that every line in your proposal means that you will need to implement this action. Sometimes in 2 lines you find so many actions to be done. And then you get to this implementation phase. Wow, did I commit it to this and this and this? I'm going to do all these angles of stuff. It was so easy to write it. Like it goes so smooth.
Yeah. They're going to take your money away if you
don't. Yeah.
No. Now, the next blog I called The First Things to Do. So this is sort of the discourse we have, the podcast approach methodology here, is that we sort of, people, they've just stepped into this, right? If you take on, I've tried to build this series up, what happens? I will start up with the grant agreement, and then the consortium agreement that's past us when people will listen to this. So here this is when people step into, and they're like, so the coordinator understands what happens when I start out. So what are the first things things to do?
So the first thing is, I would say, you get that letter that your project has been selected for funded. You need to know how to communicate it to the partners, not just, showcase already that in that first message after your project has been selected for funding, that you have a plan and that you have things under control. for the upcoming months of the preparation of the grant agreement and also soon the implementation. But what is very important is to establish that first connection with your project officer. So this is something that I believe is the building block of the success of the implementation of the project. And you as a coordinator are really playing the focal role between the European Commission and the project partners and the project actions. So making that connection really matters. Making that first impressions on your project officer really matters. It's
Yeah.
important to say that there are, of course, different type of project officers. There is someone who reaches out to you within, I would say, an hour or 2-3 days since you received the letter or you receive the information from the project officer straight away. And there are project officers that, unfortunately, you also sometimes need to chase, and you need to make yourself visible, and you need to make that connection work. So also that is something that you should keep in mind, shouldn't be forgotten. Like I would say, the first moments after your project is really being selected for funding.
Yeah. So what I already discussed with Georg Messer and Tui in the first couple of episodes, we covered the grant agreement and the consortium agreement. Especially in the first episode, we talked about this, like establishing the connection to the project office
Mm-hmm.
and being the binding person also to the consortium.
Exactly.
So this is fundamental to understand that sort of spider in the middle of the web, the facilitator, the passer of messages both ways, but also being the representative of the whole consortium, being the one that sort of, if there's anger and if there's something going on in the consortium
Mm-hmm.
vis-a-vis the commission, that you gather that information so you're the one that, if there's something that needs to be both positive and negative towards the project officer, but also the other way around, that you are that person.
Yeah, you are basically that.
And you have to find the feet. If you haven't done that before, that's something that you will very quickly. It's something by listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
now you know. Yeah, now you this is a role you need to try to find yourself in. And how to deal with. You can do that in many different ways, right? It's a very that's because this is both about organization, but it's also a lot about human psychology. Yeah, so that you understand what's going on with the group that you are the head of, but you also understand and read both the lines and in between the lines what comes from the project officer. Understand what they come from. There's also going to be an episode about the project officer in
Good.
this series. So I already have that recording is actually this Friday. I have a former project officer that will explain how that. So you can look forward to listen to that from that perspective. But the point is that you sort of get the Fingerspitzgefühl, you say in German. You sort of take the temperature on each side and understand and move and navigate in relation to that.
Exactly. It's also really understanding the needs of both sides. And like when it comes to the consortium, there is a situation when one of my partners has a request that, is really going for the European Commission about maybe some specific training. I had a request lately. So this is something that I, as a coordinator, am asking a project officer to facilitate. So it's very important to understand that it's the person who has this network, the connections to what I need, and sometimes it really helps some elements of the project to succeed. And on the other side, exactly understanding the needs, maybe yes, that level of policy making, that the project officer brings in, and also understanding that I would say sometimes the lingo and the bureaucratic lingo of the
Yeah.
EC, because sometimes you need to read between lines. It's not written in the email, but it is in that email, what was aimed to be said to you, and what messages are directed to you. So yes, establishing that relation is, I think, very crucial for the project success, as one of the first steps as a project coordinator.
Now, the thing is here, project officers, they're just human beings like the rest of us. They're not the faceless, big administrative monster. They are the last person in a long series in a big system, and they they are they have a sort of lingo, as Andrea just mentioned here. But you can sort of when you conversate with them,
Hmm.
if there's something that you need to sort of understand, also where they cannot say things directly, but you can actually, if you have a good rapport with them, many of them will release in between, like not saying it directly, but so it both understands, okay, this is what's happening in my system. They will never, because of course they cannot, if there's something controversial, so to say, where they can get squeezed. But it's for them, they also have, it's important for them that they have a good relationship with you, because they are responsible for having a project running through. So if they have a good relationship to the coordinator, and makes it easier for the consortium to navigate through something that might come the from their back on what the commission would like to see, or whatever, they will let you know if you have an informal conversation with them. That's George. As if you followed the series, he has mentioned that. So if you have not, then I can recommend to go back to listen to the Grand Agreement episode on that. So establishing a structure of communication
Hmm.
and coordination with the consortium. Naturally, you need to sort of get your system straight. Yeah. It's a role that requires a certain sense of organization. So if you're an organizational mess, you're not gonna like being a project coordinator, because you have to be very, there's a lot of things you need to. There's a lot of communication. Yeah, since you're in the center of everything, it's not just now we talked about between the European Commission and the consortium, but there's a lot. That's not where the majority of communication is going. The majority of the communication is in between the parts, and you will have a lot of communication that is well taking care of the work package leads.
Hmm.
But you need to tap in. You will always be CC'd, or often be CC'd, on communication going in the each of the work packages, where you don't necessarily need to have anything to do there, but you need to understand what's going on. But you need to also to bind them together, and it's not just the annual partner meetings. So there's often in relation to deliverables, especially when it's cross work package overlapping, where things are overlapping with activities and so on, where you need to. Uh, what's your experience on that, or can you share a little bit on how that is?
Sure. So, from my perspective and experience, I really believe that having that communication structure, communication strategy towards the consortium, uh, already starting to be prepared during the grant agreement preparation is the most effective way, and then going through that structure during the joint during the kickoff meeting is of importance, because this is where you have that space to communicate it with the partners, what are their past experiences, what worked well, exactly tailor made it to the project. Of course, sometimes these are the projects that doesn't cover such a diverse range of stakeholders, but some more and more we see, the multi-actor approach in Horizon Europe, where, for example, in one of our projects, we have bio-based industry partners and humanitarian organizations. How to exactly bring the lingo, how to really unite that approach towards the successful project cooperation. So that meeting is also for that, because this is where the partners most likely will meet on spot in one room, network. And this is how you can also see the, I would say, the linkage that you don't see through the camera, the relations, the dynamics of the consortium. So this is also for you a meeting as a project coordinator to understand how is the momentum should be set up. And also, what is important is to present the structure during the first meeting, suggest, amend, and after the meeting, you come back to the office, and start really implementing what you have just presented.
Mm.
Don't make it fall asleep. Take the momentum and grasp it. Prepare kickoff meeting for the work package leaders. See that the meetings also for the different work packages and the partners that are participating are really happening soon, since the first consortium meeting. And really set up a structure that showcase follow up on the different, I would say, layers that I, for example, now presented, and make the partners get used to it, to this structure. Make the partners
Mhm.
get used to the fact that they know if something is not happening, Andrea is coming after me. That you are the project coordinator that is there for them, but you are the project coordinator that, okay, if the deadline is approaching, they 100% hear from you. They hear from you also when the amendments needs to be made in the maybe work plan structure and so on. So be there. And but most importantly, when it comes to the coordination and communication structure, get partners used to the fact that you will be there, in all the communication meetings and so on.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's setting this structure also setting everybody understands how does the communication work. Do you it's on many levels. It's both physical, how many meetings we'll have per year, if you have not put it already in the
Hmm.
organized, what is it, the implementation section in the proposal. So you establish this or then remind people, and maybe you already have sketched out where you will meet the first year,
Hmm.
stuff like this. You will share. You will already have for the kickoff meeting. You will set up the folder structure on your shared folders, stuff like this. You will maybe already give people an idea of you coordinated with the communication dissemination work package lead on first step of putting on the website of the all these things, so
Yes.
people get you will actually, I think what Georg said was work intensely in the beginning
Hmm.
is with all these things, because if people get a feeling that everything is super well taken care of, there's a very steady hand on that steering wheel, then everybody will say, peace out, man. This is going to be a great project. There, everybody will walk out of that kickoff meeting with a smile on their face and say, "This is going to be great." If you come off as messy, you haven't really checked out things yet, you don't really know how to approach things, people will sit with a frown on their face. Um, they will start to sit uncomfortable in their seat. Uh, and you don't want that. Yeah. So it's, I think the beginning, it's going to be a little bit intense, I guess. Uh, but it's going to pay you back tenfold as you move on.
Yeah. And it can happen. It can happen even that the people in the project meeting, no matter how much you try, they will come with those frown faces. The question is what you do after. The question is exactly when you come back to the office and you see, okay, even the first one maybe didn't go well. What am I doing about it? Exactly that, grasping the momentum. Because what can happen that you are coming to the meeting and suddenly the structure of the consortium during the proposal preparation and now implementation is different. The key partners have changed their like team leads, and you need to adjust that. You need to explain the exactly like some aspects of the project that are not clear. Maybe someone is representing the same organization but would have a different take on a task, or would like to go a bit different direction. So exactly, even we aim for this first meeting to go amazingly, but even if it doesn't, exactly straight after that, a good project coordinator takes upon that role and divides and plans and try to make an order, even if the first impression might not have been the best. Some of the first meetings are very courtesy, some of them are more exactly scratching their heads what we are doing here. So every different project has its different momentum. So understand what happened and take it from there.
Yeah, and then just accept the baseline that many people will have forgotten what they put in that proposal.
Indeed.
So this is teaming up with work package leads and making people understand what's going on, what will happen now. So yeah. No, I have to take care. Time doesn't slide here because we need to actually, now that was actually just when it starts. We need to talk a little bit about, move into what happens as the project gets rolled.
Mm-hmm.
So the responsibilities of the project coordinator. So let's fold it a little bit out here. Responsibilities. I dotted them down here, but I'm going to let you say them. Let's go have your own take on them. So how is it? What are the core responsibilities of the project coordinator as it rolls? Now we've talked a little bit about the beginning, but throughout the rest of the project.
Yeah. So I would say the baseline for that is the grant agreement, because there is depicted in the Article 7 as much as needed as it be. What are the project coordinator roles? So, this is your starting point. Also at that pre-award phase, when you want to understand what will be your role, maybe you look at the model grant agreement and see what is ahead of you. But going back, I would say to the main responsibilities is really overseeing and driving forward the project implementation, looking at it from that monitoring of angle that we discussed before. It's not that exactly the fact that you are in every email doesn't mean that you have to be, for example, present at every single meeting that the partners have, but you need to understand what happened at the meetings. The partners undergo some challenges. Maybe this is the time for me to step in there. For all the short summaries from the meetings are, for example, of importance when it comes to really driving the projects towards the success. And how do we, I would say, bureaucratically or towards the European Commission reflected is that we prepare deliverables, either reports, either data sets, and so on. And this is the main, also another main role of the project coordinator, that you are that last point or last, I would say, last person that clicks that submit button of the deliverables. So something to really remember, that you are overseeing how is the deliverable being prepared from the scratch. If the work has started, how is the work on the deliverable going on? You are receiving the final draft, doing the final QA of the deliverable, seeing that all the partners that need it commented on it, and eventually exactly submitting the deliverable. In some cases, the project officer says, hey, you need to redo this deliverable, this is not enough, or there can be also the request from the commission to redo. So exactly, you are taking it back to the partners, reassessing together, and resubmitting. So yeah, you are that person who is really responsible that the project's deliverables are submitted on time, or submitting as soon as possible, that the milestones are met, which are also your control points. You are overseeing the risks of the project. Do we see some challenges that need to be done? Exactly as we were discussing before, the connection with the European Commission is of a key, but maybe it's not just the connection with the project officer, but also sometimes in the conversation the DG steps in, that is relevant, or the project officer brings another, I would say, I don't know, unit of the commission that, hey, they saw your project, they want to coordinate. You are the coordinator. You are supposed to facilitate, oversee how is the connection being established and where you can take it forward. So so something that for me, and maybe just to finish the list, of course, you are the one who is submitting the periodic report of the project. So this is a big role of the project coordinator,
Yeah.
and shouldn't be forgotten.
Of
Uh,
course, all these things that Andrea is mentioning here, I'm going to do episodes on this in this series, right? So you can, if you follow it from the beginning, of course, you'll need to wait until I produce these things. But when this series is ready, people who are listening now, when everything is ready, so this is time space issue right here, right? We sit and talk about something that's not ready yet, but people in the future, there you will be able to go, and there will be interim reports, episodes here where these things will be explained, how to do these kind of things and what it entails. But of course, this is you are the one, like what the project is supposed to hand over. You have a contract, and you are the representative from the legal point of view in that contract. You are the one securing it on behalf of the consortium that made a contract with the commission, that this will be handed over as part of the money you're receiving. You are handing over something back. So everything, project results vis-a-vis what Andrea now has mentioned, are deliverables, results, milestones, all these things that you promised. That's you that has to make sure that it is handed over. And that requires that you keep an eye on where things are going. You push things if it's not happening. Is that on track? Is that on track? Is that on track? Because you will be the one that the commission will approach if it's not. So it's the consortium as such that is combined responsible for delivering, but you're the one that is representing it. So you're the one that should push the system that you're representing to hand it over.
yeah, you are the one that maybe we'll discuss this also later, but you are the one who also understands that moods and swings within the consortium that should somehow see that red flags that are coming your direction.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is also a very, very important element to understand.
Yeah. I put a bullet here that shouldn't be here because I put the content octopus, but it's actually related to challenges.
Hmm.
That we will talk about in a while, because that's actually related to what you need to be able to do and handle. So let's just put that in the bank for in about 20 minutes when we reach to that that part. But now let's just move into the informal things, because you just mentioned it. Because now I think it should be very clear what the formal responsibilities are. So if you look at the informal
Hmm.
elements,
Hmm.
that's equally important.
Yeah, that's equally important, and sometimes even I would say oversteps that formal responsibilities. Exactly, the informal responsibilities are many times, I would say, linked to the challenges that we will discuss. So maybe this will be a bit of a overlap, but really, that informal responsibility is to see the unforeseen challenges that the project is bringing about, whether it is a defaulting partner, whether it is a conflict resolution, whether it is a deviation in your work plan. You are there who is overlooking everything, not only from that, I would say, exactly aspect of approaching the deliverables and approaching all the formal elements of submission and communication towards the commission. Um, but yes, you are supposed to overlook it from also from that angle of the human aspect that I'm gonna
Yeah.
touch right now. It is something that I think I may be mentioning also in that previous episode we discussed. You are becoming a diplomat there, you are taking upon of a role that you really should understand all different cultural aspects, different I would say characters of the people in your consortium, whether you have it can happen you don't fit with one of your main PIs, you don't come to word, but you need to overcome that. You are project coordinator.
Mhm.
It can happen that two of your partners have totally different approach, and you are supposed to be that mediator, the diplomat that resolves that conflict, and that also both of them see that you are doing something to to resolve it, that you are not letting it sleep, you are not letting it fade away, and okay, it's fine, this task is finishing soon, it's fine. No, because it will haunt you in the future, it will come back for sure
Mhm.
as a project coordinator. So really looking at that human aspects of how the consortium is working as one body is of a great importance, and I think it's one of the I would say biggest skills that you are also gaining when implementing the project. Really, that human interface is it's really shaping you as a good project coordinator.
You, anybody who has been doing this will understand what Andrea is mentioning here. So this is a matter of, you have, first of all, everybody's turning to you. Yeah, everybody is having eyes on you, and in that sense, you need to to psychologically um, be able to deal with that role. What is even more dotted down here, right? So you have these cultural, psychological aspects. What is a group? What happens in a group dynamic? Do you have you often? Most often, it's rarely that you have perfectly harmonious social group there. So you will have psychology frictions like this, where people they rub against each other's hair, and you'll have conflicts that you need to deal with, and you need to be able to intermediate the diplomatic role that Andreas talked about here. You need to be able to also, but it's not just a matter of intermediate. You need to sort of understand the cultural differences, and not just geographical. It's not just that. It's also it can culture is many things, right?
Hmm.
It can be culture between industry and company and research, or SMEs or NGOs. It's a very it's a very complex, often group, because if especially if we talk about large projects with just say, all right, anything from 10 to 30 partners, you have a lot of people involved, and from diverse areas, sectors, and so on. You need to the first time you do this, it's more difficult than, of course, when you learn as you go.
Hmm.
And experience, the more years you have under your belt, not necessarily as a project coordinator, but having dealt with many kinds of people from different diverse areas, you understand these aspects, and will hence also be able to navigate them better, and facilitate, because this is all a matter of your role here is also to make that work, because this can sidetrack a project.
Hmm.
If they get so angry with each other, and if there's no one to mediate properly and facilitate that mediation, so to say, and find a way through, then that's going to have an effect on the hard results that you need, so that we just spoke about, responsibilities.
Yeah, but on the other side, what is also important is to build that hard skin. Sometimes it happens that you are the project coordinator, said, so I'm going after you. There
Mhm.
is, why would I do that? To go after someone else in the consortium. Sometimes really it's also important to build that relationship of trust, but also a bit of a respect. Because sometimes it
Yeah.
can happen that you can sometimes get a bit more friendly, and then the things started to fade away from one of the project partners because you
Mhm.
somehow leaning towards more of a friendship that the professional coordination, or exactly as I was saying, uh, you are blamed for something that had nothing to do with you, or you haven't even been part of the conversation, but you are the project coordinator. So
Mhm.
really also like building that resilience, I think it's something that we have never mentioned before, but I think it's also a good
It's vital.
skill to embrace as a project coordinator.
You you have you need to to socially understand things, but you also need to be exactly that.
Hmm.
You need to be able to say, shut up,
Hmm.
stop. You need to have that because they're going to play you like a ukulele if you don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will always have people there, not sociopaths. I'm not talking about this, but you will have people in the group that will manipulate, that will try to get the best out of the situation, that will try to make you do the work, stuff like this,
Hmm.
or make others do the work. But that, and you need to, if the first time you do it, you might get some hard lessons. It's like this. It's like this in life. Also, if you younger, like in 20 something like that, life gives you, like gives you some lessons, and it's all you're gonna bring that into that. People in the end of their 40s will have easier in saying that, shut up, and you're like
Yeah.
will have easier with putting people in their place or taking a hard confrontation when you need it.
Hmm.
You need to understand, and that's part of the role, to take a hard confrontation when it is needed.
Yes, you need to understand when you need to set the boundaries, like, really approach something from that angle that is also sometimes uncomfortable for your partner.
Oh
The
yeah,
project implementation shouldn't be implementation in your comfort zone. I think this is
yeah.
what many times we see within the project implementation, that the partners are very much comfortable in their seats, and anytime they shakes up their comfort zone research angle is like unacceptable. It happens in, I think, per consortium for sure someone will find a partner like that. And it is exactly another, I would say, role of the project coordinator is to really get also people out of their comfort seats.
Yeah. It's I had an episode recording called "Eat the Frog"
Hmm.
with Isabel Butal. Oh, I don't exactly remember. She is running as a coordinator with the concept of eating the frog. The fact that being coordinated, constantly sitting a frog in front of you. That's constantly an uncomfortable decision you have to take. Something you're like almost constantly, not always, but it's very. You will have periods where you constantly feel you have to make an uncomfortable decision, or need to write an uncomfortable email. You need to make an uncomfortable phone call. You need to, and it's you. It's lying in front of you.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's not even a frog; it's a toad. It's and sometimes you made the toad, and you may have two toad. Because of you making a mistake, and then you need to crawl back into the consortium and say, "Look, this happened." There's always something. So you will definitely, as a coordinator, you will learn how to deal with conflicts, and you will learn very uh, very directly how to deal with uncomfortable decisions, uncomfortable situations, and things that just has to be dealt with, that you would be happily not to deal with in normal life.
Exactly. But yeah, the important thing is to not run away, not try to hide, don't disappear. Be there, even if it's uncomfortable, be there. And because this is how, I would say, people will remember you. This is how people will decide if they want to work with you on the next project. This is how
Yeah.
people will talk about you and your respective organization when it comes to the role of the project coordinator. So yeah, understanding that all what is happening in this project has really dire consequences on how you will be taken or looked upon as a project coordinator of the next initiative. Do I really want
Yeah.
to have, I would say now, Andrea as a project coordinator, or what are we doing? Like, really try to establish that name, that okay, she was there in the uncomfortable situations. She wrote these uncomfortable emails that shake me off, but she was there
Mhm.
because she cared for the project.
Mhm. Yeah. It's a matter of also not getting too grabbed by negativity or too much. So it's a matter of constantly having to, when you go into this, to weighing your words a little bit on a brief way, right? Because you want straighten people out, but you don't want them to push them away. Or it's this gentle balance. You're constantly walking on on the edge of a knife of making people respecting what you do, having a good relationship with people at the same time, and then not pushing like too much so people don't like you. you know, that's what we're talking about. You don't want people not to like you because then you're not a good coordinator.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Also, not a good coordinator.
You don't want that, but on the other side, you also you also need to understand that there will be people that might not like you, not because you are a
Yeah,
bad project coordinator, but
yeah, yeah,
it's also accept that it's sometimes very hard, like when you are telling yourself, oh, I'm doing my best for this project, so why this person still doesn't like me? But this is going to the human psychology, this you need to understand that maybe it's not related exactly to this project. Maybe it's something, that really I cannot influence at this stage. Let's keep on the professional level. We don't need to be best friends holding hands, but we want to work together in a correct way.
yeah. Maybe I think we can move on talking a little about. I think it's okay, right?
Hmm.
This part of it. So
Yep.
let's talk a little bit about advantages and challenges. Now it's going to be pretty much the same. So if you have listened already to the recording with Andrea with the Inspire Science series where we talk about the coordination dilemma, it's going to be a little bit like this, but of course it's never one to one
Hmm.
because we talk out of we don't have a script here. We just have the same bullets. But here I just wanted to take this plug in because it's important to talk about the advantages and challenges. So the advantages, of course, is important for everybody to understand when you attack this, that there are some things that really gives you and your organization some good things
Hmm.
with you if you take up this role, right? So can you share?
Yeah, sure. So I will start with the fact that, yeah, you are the one who has that control wheel about on the project. You are the person that is really the steering wheel that can, I would say, uncover the new pathways because you oversee all the project implementation. And you are the one that really opens the mind of other people for the challenges. So it really goes also for connect. It's really well connected also to building the impact of your organization, to contributing to the visibility of your organization, and really building a good name as a good project coordinator. That, as we just said, that someone is really trying to lean towards, and someone is really approaching. Hey, Andrea, another interesting project. Would you jump on this one with me as well? So really setting the tone for the future. You are also the person and the really big advantage that is dearly and deeply connected to all the partners. So again, something that goes for the future collaborations, but also something that is really building your organization a strong network within the field that you are working on. And another, I would say, positive point is to really have that relation with the commission. Sometimes it happens that you land on also high level people when discussing the details of your project, that otherwise you wouldn't have a chance to open the discussions with. And this is also a place where you can where you can impress. This is a place that you
Yeah.
shouldn't be, I would say, a gray mouse, but this is a place where you should embrace the fact that you have this connection with the EU established, and how can you take it further. So yeah, I would say these are the main advantages. Really, being there, being visible, having a good name, having the important network and connections, and really bringing a project to a Horizon project to a real success with the real impact is, not to mention, very rewarding feeling to
Yeah.
have.
Yeah. But it's this, from very early on, and I also think I mentioned it in the other recording we made. It's when being an NCP years ago in Denmark,
Hmm.
one of the core things in the NCP, that part of the ministry, strategically from the ministry side, it was important to try to get more Danish organizations to coordinate. Why that? It's because the coordinators, they have a strategic they have a strategic decision on what's going on in that project content wise,
Mm-hmm.
and they get connections with the research community and industry and so on involved in that project that they can build on later in a much more direct way than if you're just you can't
Mm-hmm.
say just, but if you're a normal partner workers, there is a lot of respect and connection that comes back to you when you are a coordinator. So of course, so what I'm trying to say is that a lot of things follow strategically. If you follow this path, it's a rough and keep rough and tough to be a coordinator. But what comes back to you as an organizations, if you make a strategic approach to this and say, okay, we will do this every second or fourth year, something like this. We will take out topics, areas that is core to us, and say that's what we're going to do, and then like lift the organization with that role and what comes with it, all the synergy effects that follows after that. So that is one of the key advantages, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree that that term that you just used, lifting the organization, is of a key importance and really can bring desired results, for you in the longer strategic like outlook. So yeah, good term.
We have challenges
Yeah. So
when things go wrong.
yeah, when things go wrong, challenge that we discussed a lot today, but I would say the omnipresent challenge on the different layers of project implementation. So yeah, when things go wrong, there is 100%. You are 100% sure in. There is no way things go wrong with you as a project coordinator. Shouldn't be there and shouldn't resolve this, or at least should assist in the process of resolving the what went wrong. And also, you should monitor this. Is it repeatedly going wrong in between some of the partners? Is it repeatedly some challenge that is current, like appearing throughout this the work done in this work package? So understanding also, I would say, the deeper sense of what went wrong, not just take it as okay, this went wrong and like as a tick task, resolved. It
Hmm.
really take some like really create a set of lessons learned from that for you as a project coordinator. And another thing, exactly as we have mentioned, the work pressure and the time consuming of the project management is
Yeah.
many times going beyond early mornings or long nights. So
Hmm.
yes, taking this role should be also taken with this commitment that this will be your challenge. It's not a question if this can suddenly become a challenge. The time consuming of being a project coordinator is done per se. You signed for when you signed the grant agreement, you signed for work pressure. Of course, it depends how you handle it, but it will be there. Sometimes it will be there, exactly as we said in the beginning of the project. Sometimes it can happen in the grant agreement preparation, but sometimes it and most of the times it comes in waves. You have a calmer part of the project when everyone is working and things go good, and then suddenly something explodes. Or is one of our projects, what happened in the past was that we thought everything is going good until we went to one
Hmm.
of the meetings, and there it exploded.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
That's
very
also something.
common.
Sometimes you have a revolution, or you have a group of the consortia that is that has coordinated an attack behind your back, so to say, towards a meeting, something like this.
Yeah.
Uh,
So yes, understanding that work pressure, understanding that okay, there will be waves of it. It's not constant. It's not that for now for 4 years I'm not sleeping every night because I'm coordinating a project. That's for
mhm,
sure. But taking it into the consideration and also looking it from your personal perspective, how can I balance it? Uh, as a person, but it would be a probably different topic. And Yeah, we have a note here also. What can be a challenge is that if the coordinator leaves the organization. So, actually, this was also one of our cases where I became a coordinator after my colleague um, went from the organization. And yes, it is a challenge. It is a challenge that, again, you need to dedicate timely like not timely dedicate extra time to really understanding the project, to have, I would say, double checks, and maybe sometimes double amounts of the conversations that usually would be required, and sometimes stating that, hey, I wasn't there in the project preparation phase, I really need your help with that, or I really need
Hmm.
you to I would say, two partners to explain how did they come up with this, I don't know, timeline, with this angle towards the task, because maybe for me it doesn't make sense, and it's fine if I wasn't there in
Yeah.
the project preparation phase. It is fine that I don't see all the networks, all the gaps, all the challenges, that have been there. But it is my role as a project coordinator, after I take over after someone, to really understand this, to invest that extra length to kick off the project, or even take after someone in the mid of the project in a correct way, and again building the trust, because this comes with a lot of trust building. If the coordinator leaves the organization and you are suddenly becoming a new coordinator, that how can you have that initial trust, okay, just
Yeah.
per your organization, this is not by default, you know so
Yeah.
something that should be taken.
Takes a lot of time,
Yes.
a lot of conversations, a lot of meetings, lots of yeah. I tried it.
Hmm.
I
And
took
how
over a
was it?
project from that was it was a project that was where people were uncomfortable with each other. It was the end of the project,
Mm.
final 6 months. So things had not been going as like, so there was a lot of negative energy when I entered. So I
Mhm.
tried to deal with that.
Mhm.
We tried to have people feel comfortable and having a good atmosphere and so on, and making like solving the problems, trying to solve it. It was not a technology project, it was more like developing uh, so it was not hard technology issues that they had to deal with. So it was things where you, if you started to have a little bit more strength on organizing events and workshops and so on, it started to roll
Mhm.
in the end, and sort of patched up things in a more nice way. So, but it's not easy.
Mhm.
Yeah, to step in and get to a context you don't understand or have not been part of. To it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And then I think this is the last bullet we have here. That's related to the octopus, content octopus. Yeah, especially if it's a
Mhm.
big project, many activities, like many work packages and so on. To keep track on content, at both content and administrative elements, you might, even though if you're an engineer
Mhm.
and you yourself are part of some of the content, like the hard content, technology content, you might not understand the other work packages, technical content that's going on there, but you need to have you need to try to understand, or get someone to explain you how these things are, because everybody's looking at you. So what's going on with this work package? It's we have this and this problem. So you still need to. You're expected to be able to have an opinion about also technical elements.
Yeah, this is something that exactly at that project preparation can be a deal breaker if someone decides it really. Yeah, do I see such a huge consortium in front of me? Do I really want to go this direction? Am I really committing to this content, all the content and administrative elements that go for this project? Because yes, as you said, some of the aspects for sure, I as a project coordinator, I'm not an expert in, but exactly it is my role to either follow up on them duly, when possible be at the meeting, if not possible to be at the meeting, because this can also happen. You are coordinate if you are coordinating a couple of projects, you cannot be in every project meeting, but really see which of those meetings are strategical. See of follow up, on especially on those elements that are challenging for you in the big consortia. um, Follow up, have a one-on-one call with a work package leader who can give you a brief, even if you don't understand. It's better to acknowledge that, because eventually it can lead you to the situation where you need to make a decision as a project coordinator, and if you have done none of the effort to understand what is really going on in that work package that you don't understand, how can you do that? Like, into what situation it puts you, as a project coordinator. I would believe in a very uncomfortable one. And exactly that administrative elements, of course, you will have probably most likely support from different departments within your organization, if you're a bigger organization. If not, at least 1-2 people for sure will be there to support you. But I would say, do not neglect it. The administrative part, really keep in mind that you have that periodic report, and you have all the reports that you are about to you will submit to the commission. So it's something that, as a project coordinator, even if you have that administrative unit at your organization, you still need to understand what is going on there. At least have some follow up on the administrative issues with your department. But do not keep it that this is totally unrelated to me, because I have support from my department. Because there still can come a challenge which is more administrative one, and you still need to have some overlook on it as a coordinator of big consortia.
And that is why also you will often have the role split. I have, I think, episode number 87 is a project called Redol, coordinated by a Spanish research organization. And they had divided the role. So 2 different persons, a technical coordinator and an administrative coordinator, where one of them would be the overall, of course, formally, but the splitting aside the two roles, because it's it's rough if you sit with everything. It's if you can zoom in on securing the technical development, so it's much easier if you don't have to deal with at the same time administrative parts.
Yeah, you can see it in the project preparation phase also, that someone, I will now talk more from the, not as a coordinator but as a consultant. Sometimes I see that a project coordinator sends me a budget built within a couple of days. Everything goes smoothly, chick chack, everything is resolved. Because exactly somehow the person itself bears such a strength of really being that coordinator that has the skills of also building the budget. All the administrative info are in the portal. And then there is another type of project coordinator where, what is the budget, what is the lump sum, how is it built, what are the other costs. So yes, if you don't have these skills and you have the opportunity, don't push everything on yourself. Either have a consultant, either have a really help from the finance department, which should be, of course, always consulted. But don't try to be everything. But it's when, for you as a person, as a project coordinator, it can be a challenge. Then, as you said, it's very important, and it's a very good way to go to split the roles, and it's totally fine.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I think we grasped it all.
We have 2 elements left. I forgot to put the toughest challenge into the rundown, but that's we'll take that. So do's and don'ts, good and bad experience, hard learnings.
I think what it comes is really build that trust. As I was saying, we will go to some parts of what I had said before, but build the trust from that point. 1, trust between you and your consortium in that implementation phase as being a project coordinator. and build the trust with your project officer and the European Commission when building and setting the relationship and throughout the project implementation phase. Be a good communicator, be a diplomat, be I would say exactly as I'm always saying, mediator, but be also the person who can put people off their comfortable seats and motivate them to go beyond, because it will reflect in the project and its results. And when it comes to don'ts, I would say don't hide, don't run away from from your responsibilities. Um, don't think that you are the god. It also sometimes happens. You are the project coordinator, but be affirmative, be there for everyone, but
Humble.
exactly what I was looking for. Don't make it eat you. It also happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
people introduce like themselves to me as, "Hi, I'm a project coordinator." Like this is and this
Mm-hmm.
is this is where I understand where I'm supposed to take the conversation. So, yeah,
Uh-huh.
do be humble. Don't go over your line, and maybe don't afraid to coordinate. I'm taking it from a different angle, so I'm reverse engineering, but don't be afraid, really. It's
Shoot out your chest, right?
exactly.
Lift your head and like be proud of what you know to do, and then take the learnings from different challenges you will face. That's like real life. Yeah, it's we all become better at it. Some things never change, but at least we become better, hopefully, and we take the learnings with us and become better in dealing with things. And it's the same here, right? It's you can't know everything. Uh, if I would be a project coordinator now, I would be a horrible project
I
coordinator
don't
because I
believe
have not
that.
been.
So many
I
podcasts.
haven't. I have not been dealing with this for such a long time, so I would be like an elephant in the China store if I stepped into that now. It's shit. I forgot all this. So it's like this. If you embark on this path, then if you have a liking for it, then do it once in a while and become better at it. And it's
Yeah. Don't be afraid also to ask for help, because it also can happen, like
yeah, help. Almost forgot. Yeah, ask for help.
yeah.
Yeah. Ask NCPs, ask wherever, or as I also suggested in I think the recording we made, the other recording on it, reach out to people other people who coordinate.
Exactly.
Just reach out. You don't necessarily need even to know that person. Try to Google a project and reach out to a person who did it, and just say, look, it's it might sound weird, but can we have talk? No, but really, you're like, oh, of course, it's better if you know people in your network that's been doing this, and don't be afraid to open up and share what's been challenging, because they know.
Exactly. I don't
Oh, don't do that. Oh, that's good. I also did that. Oh, you did that. I should have done that. I realized. No, stuff like this. Have a conversation with people who have been there before. Then, yeah, that's definitely something that I would recommend. I should have done that when I did that. It would have helped me.
I'm also learning sometimes. I in some stuff I'm like breaking my head, and after some time like, why don't I just ask? I don't need to resolve it as a project coordinator. It's not, the help is there. So ask for it.
The grand. Andrea, I forgot to put it in the rundown, but we'll try to take it to pull it out of thin air. I normally have the toughest challenge.
Mhm.
If you think of the toughest thing in relation to the coordination role, what would that be?
The toughest challenge, I think, really breaks down to manage all the dynamics within the consortium, that human
Yeah.
relations, um, when it comes to breaking your head on the methodology and from different reach angle to take it. Of course it will be, and it might be always a challenge, but if you bring the people together within your consortium, and if you, exact as I said, if you motivate them to work, if you try to resolve their challenges, if you really make that ambience of a group that wants to work together, I think this is halfway towards the success of your project. So having that human relation covered uh, is of the toughest challenge, but of the highest importance when it comes to the coordination. Yeah.
I think, yes. Whenever I've been having this podcast on the coordination role, it's this. Yeah. I had Giulia Parola, who wrote a book on it,
Hmm.
with exactly focus on like this human interaction, how challenging that is. Isabel Bodalo on same the Eat the Frog, and like this, the human interaction, human psychology, and how to work with this group. That's by far the one that is most difficult to deal with.
Indeed,
Yeah.
nothing makes me more happier when I finish a call that a conflict or a different angle
Yeah.
of action was resolved. I'm like, really, this is when I'm tapping my shoulder. Job well done. It's coming soon again, but job well done this time. So it is really an art, I believe, for any project coordinator. Um, there is.
On that note, we that's it.
Mhm.
Finish this episode. Andrea, thanks. I'm just going to shut down the episode before we're going to say goodbye to listeners. So, dear listeners, thank you so much for listening to the end. I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I hope if you are coordinator yourself, are going to be, I hope this really helped you, because that's the whole point with this series I make, sort of giving input and help and support and so on, for how to deal with this. So I hope that that indeed has helped you. If you liked what you're hearing here, you should go to my website if you have not already been there. It's thegrant.eu, and there you will have actually a whole a segment called that I put everything related to coordination. I have all my episodes throughout the more than 100 episodes that I have now, related to being a coordinator, coordinating proposals and projects. So you should go there and check that out. While you are there, you should, by all means, if you have any sympathy with what I'm doing here, subscribe to my email list. That spells currency in the podcast world, especially if you're an independent. So by all means, do subscribe to that. And final action, connect with me on LinkedIn. You should also connect with Andrea. Should make sense. You connect with me on LinkedIn, Niels Tudor Winter, but you will find Andrea on the episode site. Each episode I make that has its own page on my website. So there you will find not only the episode notes, time codes on throughout this program, this episode, but you will also find LinkedIn link to Andrea's LinkedIn profile and to Inspire Science. I will put, and I will also put commission. I think they have some information on coordination, so that you will also find things. That's that. Andrea, thank you so much for dropping by the virtual podcast studio once again. It's not going to be the last time, I can promise you that. It's very nice to have you in here, so agree to that.
Yeah.
Let's say goodbye to dear listeners. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Grant. All the Grant episodes have their own site on the Grant website. You will find the link in the episode notes where you listen to your podcast. On the site for this episode, you'll find a link to Andrea's personal LinkedIn site, as well as a link to the Inspire Science website. Further, you'll find a link to the Inspire Science series, which are the podcast episodes they developed together with me in the Grant. And you'll find a link to the Grant podcast category Coordinator, where you find all the podcast episodes that I have developed relevant for coordinators. Next week, there is a wonderful episode where I zoom in on a town in Spain. Good contact Leticia Monfort Bard is deputy mayor in the town of Gaia de Gorgos in Alicante, Spain. She's a one-woman army in placing the city strategically in Brussels and securing EU funding to develop the town. Great content. You can indeed look forward to that. Remember that the Grant would really like to join some EU proposals as a partner or subcontractor. I am slowly getting interested feedback for having the Grant included in proposals for the 2025 goals. And why's that? That's because some proposal developers, they realize that adding sound to the proposal communication strategy can be a strong addition to connecting with the project stakeholders and the world beyond the realm of the project. For a relatively small part of the project budget, the grant steps into the communication and dissemination group and delivers a plug-and-play solution with strong podcasting expertise, 15 years proposal and project experience, and a big follower base. Reach out through LinkedIn or my website if interested. Finally, don't hesitate reaching out if you want your own podcast episodes flagging topics of importance for you specifically. Grant's consultancy company Enspire Science have their own series with 3 episodes flagging their capacities within different areas of supporting research organizations towards EU funding. The possibilities are many. Flagging your capacities as a company, pushing a message towards the Brussels ecosystem as research organization, promoting an important event, or boosting your communication strategy. The grant offers a plug-and-play solution with a podcast host with 16 years of experience with the EU R&D field, which secures the solidity of the content. I'm not a journalist, I'm a conversation partner that understands your perception. See you next week.